Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my new video. My name's AJ. I'm your host for today. Today's topic, I'm going to be talking about freedom. Before I start, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you can to help with the algorithm. And if you really like the video and you really like what I do and you want to support me, consider joining my Patreon and also buy me a coffee if you can. But without ado, guys, let's continue with the show. Before I talk about the freedom stuff, guys, I just want to mention a few things. Number one, I get alerted on my phone whenever somebody sends a message, and when I go in to check it, the message is gone. It seems like YouTube is deleting half of your messages. So what I request, guys, when you write a message, I know some of you take a long time to write a huge essay and stuff, and you send it and YouTube deletes it within like a few seconds later. So can I just request you guys just make sure you do a refresh and make sure your message is there, because when you refresh your screen you might realize your message is gone. It's deleted by YouTube, and YouTube deletes a lot of messages. I don't delete any messages, guys. YouTube deletes a lot of messages. Anything that has any swear words or anything they feel is offensive, they'll delete it, and it's an automatic thing. I think there's some sort of bot that runs in the background which deletes these messages. So can I just request you guys just check your messages when you do write them. Try not to have any swear words in it, and just check your messages that it is there and YouTube hasn't deleted it. The other thing, guys, there are a lot of idiots out there. There's a lot of people who are anti-Chinese and stuff like that, and they're writing a lot of crap on a lot of these videos. Don't try and let them get the better of you, because when somebody looks at the channel, when somebody looks at the comments, you get these idiots, these barbaric idiots that are running their mouths and not thinking about what they're writing, and they're saying really stupid stuff, and just let them just make themselves, they look like fools in the day. They look like fools because they don't know what they're talking about. They make no sense. So what I want you guys to do is just be a bit more intelligent when replying to these idiots. Obviously, things like, just ask them questions. Why do you say what you're saying? Or what's your source? Where did you get that information from? Just ask intelligent questions. Try not to get into like swearing match or anything like that. Don't let them swoop to their level. So stay intelligent, stay above them, because when people look at these channels, you see, they look at a lot of, if you look at a lot of anti-Chinese channels out there, like all this WION stuff and China Uncensored, you will see a lot of anti-Asian hate speeches, a lot of racism, and these are barbaric people, guys. These are really uneducated, uncivilized, barbaric idiots out there with no brains. You don't want to swoop to their level. So when we have channels such as this, which is more pro-China and telling the truth out there, I want you guys to be a bit more intelligent with your responses to these idiots, and try not to swoop to their level, because when people look at a channel, people see, oh, hang on a second, all of these anti-Chinese, they sound really racist, they sound very aggressive, they seem uncivilized, uneducated. But you get all these Asian or Chinese, or even like pro-Chinese people in the West, they're talking sense, they're talking in a civilized way, civilized manner. So when people see that, it puts a good light on China. It puts a good light on the pro stuff, where we're anti-violence, we're anti hate, things like that. So it puts a good light on us, and it allows us to reach out to more people, and it unbrainwashes a lot of people. And a lot of people who are brainwashed in the West will look at that and think, oh, hang on a second, guy, these guys, they're being polite, they're being normal. It's the anti-Chinese who are being racist, who are being very aggressive. So people will see that. So if somebody writes something really stupid, just just come back with an intelligent response, or don't respond at all, or just let them to it, because people will see that response and just laugh at them. Really, they're just making themselves look stupid. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to say. So just make sure you check your messages every time you write something. Make sure it's there and YouTube hasn't deleted it. And secondly, when you see idiots respond, just write back to them in an intelligent manner, or don't write back at all. Just let them look stupid by themselves. So that's all I wanted to say. So let's continue with the freedom stuff. So what's freedom, guys? What is freedom? I see a lot of comments in a lot of my videos saying that Chinese people are not free, they don't have any freedom, they don't have any freedom of expression, they have no, the CCP government is controlling them. So I see a lot of messages like that, which are very ignorant messages. I mean, these are messages from people who don't know much about China, who don't know much about even the West, and even what freedom means. Freedom to me is being happy in your way of life, right? Freedom to me is to be able to walk out of your front door, go anywhere you want without thinking about you're going to get jumped, mugged, you're going to get abused, racially abused, you're going to get beaten up. So think about it, guys. If you're in America and you walk along the hood one day, you decided to go to one of these slums in Los Angeles, let's say Skid Row, or say some hood somewhere. You walk down, do you really think you're going to feel safe? You're going to get jumped, mugged, everything. So women in America and even the West do not feel safe walking by themselves in the at night or anywhere. Women do not feel safe in the West. Women either get sexually abused or get harassed. In UK, if you're a woman by yourself and you're walking along the street, whether it's a daytime or nighttime, the amount of harassment you get from guys is unbelievable, and it's absolutely crazy. And guys, I want to show you an example of what I mean. You can see this title here. This guy basically stabbed a girl, a 16-year-old, because she refused to give him her number. So you can see what happens to girls on a day-to-day basis in UK, and it's probably even worse in America. Girls are just not safe to walk by themselves in the streets anymore. They're just not safe. The amount of abuse they get, sexual harassments and all sorts going on, and girls are just not, it's not safe for them anymore. So yeah, you can see kind of what I mean here. It happens a lot in the West, and especially in America. And sometimes if a woman walks at night, then she's more likely to get sexually abused, and all these, there's always some idiots out there. So women do not walk around in the West in the dark or by themselves anywhere. There's so many stories about women getting raped and and other things happening to them, abused. There's so many cases out there. So isn't that a kind of freedom, to be able to walk and do whatever you want and feel safe? Well, China is like that. I mean, I don't live in China, but I see all these bloggers. I speak to a lot of Chinese people, even Chinese women who kind of speak to me. They're saying that they can walk around at night by themselves. They do not feel in danger at any point. They can go out, then go bars, clubs, and go. After that, they can walk home at night, and they feel safe. And that is a kind of freedom. And if you're a guy and you walk along some rough streets around UK or even America, like the hood, you're gonna get beaten up or abused. And if you're a Chinese living in the West, if you're even an Asian, if you're an Asian guy or an Asian woman living in the West, and you walk along the streets in UK, you're gonna get some sort of racial abuse or some sort of even a violent abuse. It happens in America a lot. It happens in UK. So many Chinese and Asian people in the West are just getting attacked, especially since Trump started his anti-Chinese war 4 years ago. Then you got all this. You got the coronavirus stuff happening, so a lot of Chinese people are being blamed for it, and they're getting attacked. So if you're a Chinese person, you walk along the streets of London, for example, you start getting racially abused or start getting beaten up. Is that freedom for you? You know, I don't see that as a freedom. You know, I think freedom is be able to walk around, do whatever you want, feel free. Not being afraid of getting beaten up or being sexually abused or racially abused. You know, that is a kind of freedom, and China provides that. From everything that I've seen and heard, China is one of the safest countries in the world, and you know, there's no gun crime over there. In America, if you walking along the hood or something, you're scared of being shot. You know, it's so much crime over there in America. Another question is asked is Chinese people are controlled by the government. They have no access to social media stuff like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. They're being controlled. So I just want to also stick two fingers up to all these people who say that, because that's a lot of BS. Because I'll tell you why. Chinese people know more about the world than the West knows about China, and I can guarantee that. So the reason, obviously, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram was banned in China, because there was a lot of terrorist attacks, and these terrorists were using these social media platforms to coordinate attacks around China. So when China asked these companies to provide data of who's doing this and try and help them to find these terrorists, they refused. They didn't give China any information. So that's why they had to ban all of these social media accounts, US social media accounts, because China felt you know, is a national security, and people were using these social medias to spread violence, and the American companies who run them, they weren't helping. So rightly they did that. Any country would do the same. So the other thing, guys, people in China know more about the world than what people know about China and what's happening inside China, because Chinese people, right, they got social media, they know what's happening around the world, they got their own Chinese social media. But if they want to check out YouTube, if they want to check out all these other, you know, social media accounts, most people just go on a VPN and they can go on YouTube. A lot of people that comment on my YouTube channel, you know, they live in China, and so how do they access my YouTube channel? Of course, they've got VPNs, and so they can see what's happening around the world. They're not stupid. They know what's happening in China. They know what's happening around the world. You know, they're not being controlled by the government. And if they don't like something in China, normally you call them the netizens or something, and what they do, they make a huge they don't protest against the government. What they do, they make a big huge song and dance about any issues that's happening in China which they don't like. So they're trying to get the attention of the local governments and stuff like that. So for example, when China was collecting rubbish for the whole world, or the whole world's rubbish like plastics and stuff was going to China, and there was a picture of this young Chinese girl sitting in a huge rubbish pile full of rubbish, and she's just sitting there in the middle playing with so much rubbish. And that picture was all over the Chinese social media, and people did not like it. You know, people were saying, people just, the whole world is just dumping rubbish to China, and China has become a dumping ground for the world, and people did not like it. So a lot of these netizens complained online, and they basically wanted to get the government's attention, and they did, and the government stopped collecting rubbish from the world, because that's how, you know, that's how you kind of do things. They're not protesting against the government, they're not complaining against the government, they're just trying to make awareness. And there was another incident where a lot of these netizens were taking pictures of the local rivers around China, and the local rivers around China a few years ago were heavily polluted. They had lots of rubbish and chemicals, and around the Yangtze River, and it really caused a lot of stir, really, and people were taking pictures of their local rivers, and this reached the government, and it kind of shocked the whole of China that these waters were so filthy and dirty. So the government made a change. So since then, they got rid of all of these factories that are dumping waste around all of these rivers. And they started doing this nationwide river cleaning program and green program nationwide, and people were not allowed to fish in these rivers. So they're doing this nationwide project now, which they're cleaning all the rivers around China, which is a great thing. And it all started from the netizens. And you see, people in China do have a say, but they do it in a different way. In England and the West, people protest, and that's how they send their message across. Unfortunately, the protests lead to nothing in UK. So I remember before the Iraq War, there was 3 million people in the streets of London to stop UK from marching into war with America into Iraq. 3 million. I was there that day, and 3 million people protested. And they didn't listen. They still went ahead with the war. Mr. Blair and Mr. Bush, the two amigos, and killed over 1 million Iraqis in that war. So during the Palestinian-Israeli conflict as well, there was also another 1 million people protesting in the streets for UK to send out a message just for Israel to stop bombing Palestine and stuff. But again, the government was quiet, and only thing they did release is a support for Israel. They didn't say anything about Palestine. So it just shows that in UK, in America, the protests are a hell of a lot different, and government don't listen to you. And look at the protests in America. I mean, when you got protests in America like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, and you got the Capitol riots as well. It's completely different from what happens in China. It's completely different, and the people in the West, like the Capitol riots and stuff, it gets violent, and whenever there's violent riots happening, say for example in Hong Kong, the Western government seem to support that. They support all of these violent uprisings in Hong Kong and stuff. And when China tried to clamp down on these violent protesters, the West is writing all these stupid articles saying, "Oh, look at what the China's doing. They're stopping the freedom of these Hong Kongers and all this crappy BS." But whenever there's Capitol Hill riots happening where people are marching into the White House, what do? They use heavy-hand tactics and start shooting people, start arresting people, start beating people up. They do whatever they want. But whenever another country tries to clamp down on violent protests, they start having a go and start saying, "Oh, you're stopping the freedom of these Hong Kongers." Freedom to do what? Freedom to cause violence? Seriously, this is just double standards. And you see what's happening around South Africa. South Africa was invited to the G7 this year, right? G7 it was invited to. So you have a G7 country, and there's people rioting and killing and burning shops and burning buildings all over South Africa. It's absolute riot. And what do the press in the West say? Nothing. They're completely quiet about it. And whenever these riots happen in Hong Kong, the West is like, "Oh my God, look at what China's doing. They're stopping the freedom of these people, these poor Hong Kongers." But if it happens in another country, they're just completely quiet about it. It's just double standards again. So anyway, that's the other part of the freedom I wanted to talk about. And the final thing about freedom I wanted to say is having a good life and having a content life is a type of freedom as well. And you may or may not realize, but people in China are content. They live a good life. They're happy with their lives. 700 people in China have come out of poverty, and 95% of the Chinese citizens support their government. So people are happy in China. People are content. People are becoming richer in China. They're having better lives. They have better security. People are content in China, and everyone I speak to, they're really happy in China. They see how things are moving in China. All of these people are coming out of poverty. But if you look at America, you got 50% of people who are going into poverty. All of these middle classes, they're slowly going into poverty. Over the years, and then you got all of these percentage of those people going into homelessness and extreme poverty, who pretty much run into debts and then end up living homeless. They've got no money, no jobs, and in America is going the other way. So the people are not very content in America. People do not have good lives in America, and every American I speak to, they're complaining about having a lack of jobs and having no money, and it's going the other way around. While China is on its way up, America is on its way down. So having a good life, having content, knowing that there's a good future, knowing that your family is being fed, knowing that your children have a good future, and life is improving in China. Compare it to what it was like 40, 50 years ago. Of course people are happy in China, people are content. I mean, look how far China has come over the last 30, 40 years. So people are extremely happy. There's a real buzz about China. People are really excited about the future. But if you look at America, it's just the other way around. It's just going backwards. So that's another part of freedom, guys. Freedom to enjoy life, to be content in life, freedom to look forward to the future, freedom to be happy. That's another kind of freedom. So finally, I want to talk about freedom of expression. So freedom of expression, a lot of people kind of put on comments saying Chinese people have no freedom of expression. They can't say anything bad against the government. They can't say anything bad about how the country's run or against the president, which is right. It's exactly the same in the West as well, except the West likes you to think that there is freedom, but in reality there isn't. When you try and speak the truth in the West, you will get arrested. When you speak out against the government, you will be arrested. All of you know about Assange and Snowden. Obviously they've been arrested because they spoke the truth. But a lot of people don't know about this guy. This guy is called Abu Hamza. So this guy has been jailed for 7 years because he spoke out against the Iraq war. So when Britain went into Iraq to kill like 1 million people, he was one of the main people who was very vocal about not attacking Iraqi people, and he was very vocal in UK. He was very talking about the government. He was saying how what a bad decision it was, etc. So he got arrested because apparently he was inciting hate and violence and things like that. So he got arrested and got put into jail for like 7 years. So again, you see, here's an example, but I can give you so many other examples. When you speak out against the government, when you say things that the government don't like or the country doesn't like, you'll get arrested. So for example, in September 11th, after September 11th, if you go to America and you say the word bomb, you just say the word bomb, you will get arrested and you will get put into prison straight away. So how is that for freedom of expression? You can't even joke about the word bomb. You can't even, if you say the word bomb in an airport, that's it. You're going to go down for 10 years in prison. They will literally put you in Guantanamo Bay if you said bomb in an American airport. So they like to think that you have a lot of freedom in America. They like to think that you can say whatever you want, but in reality you don't. You know, it's just fake. It's fake freedom. And when they say, oh, Chinese people, they can't speak out against the government, they have no freedom over there, maybe it's because they don't want to speak out against the government, because there's nothing to complain about, because everyone's happy. You know, there's nothing to complain, there's nothing to talk about. And if they do want to raise something, there are ways and there's channels to do it. And there's also rules in China you must follow. Every country has got rules. Every country. You know, you go to Singapore. Singapore has got the most rules you have ever seen in your life. You know, literally, you do a jaywalk and you get a fine. You know, there's so many rules in Dubai. In Dubai, basically, if you accidentally touch another man, for example, you get put into prison. If you know, there's a lot of rules in a lot of these countries, and you must follow the rules. You know, they don't mention anything about these rules in the Middle East. They don't mention anything about Saudi Arabia, for example, but they want to pick on China. When China has rules saying, oh, you can't say anything about Xi Jinping, or can't say anything about the CCP government. I mean, these are rules that are in place, and you know, everyone needs to follow rules, whichever country you live in. There are rules in the West as well, and you gotta respect every country and their rules and their procedures and their way of life. And the West just doesn't understand that. Just because things are done differently in the West doesn't mean things have to be done the same way in China as well. So you see, guys, China does have freedom. People in China are happy. You know, and when the West says China's got no freedom, people are unhappy in China, people can't say anything, can't do anything, they're being controlled. It's just a lot of BS, guys. It's just rhetoric to kind of smear China, make it look like it's a real bleak, militarized country where nobody's happy, everyone's living in like prison mentality. It's all fake, it's all BS. They think China is like North Korea. I mean, seriously, they're just trying everything they can to smear China. So you see, guys, I've compared the freedom that you get in the West compared to the freedom you get in China. So let me know what you think and what you prefer, and answer me in the comment section. So let's have a discussion, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, guys, and don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and whatever you can do. And if you really like this video, then you can buy me a coffee or join my Patreon. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.